Ambassador Jin So-jun walked into the great chamber on Nexus Prime with confidence in his step. The massive room held representatives from 47 different species, all sitting in their special chairs designed for their unique bodies. Jin had attended hundreds of these meetings over the past 5 years. Today felt like any other day. The humans had been part of the Galactic Council for 30 years now. Earth had shared its medical knowledge, helped end 3 wars, and even saved the Altarian species from complete destruction just 5 years ago. Jin remembered that day clearly. Human ships had arrived just in time to stop the void creatures from wiping out every Altarian colony. Chancellor Vextar of the Altarians nodded at Jin as he took his seat. They had become close friends during the rescue mission. Jin trusted Vextar completely. The tall, blue-skinned alien had personally thanked Earth's leaders and promised eternal friendship between their species. High Judge Morden called the meeting to order. His forearms moved in the traditional gesture of peace as his voice echoed through the chamber. "Today we discuss a matter of great importance," he announced. "The human problem." Jin's confidence flickered. What problem? Humans had followed every galactic law. They had shared technology freely. They had helped anyone who asked for help. Jin leaned forward in his chair, confused but not yet worried. The first speaker was Representative Torgok, of the militant Torgok Confederation. His massive form cast a shadow over his speaking platform. "Humans reproduce too quickly," he growled. "Their colonies grow faster than any species in galactic history. Soon they will outnumber us all." Jin stood up quickly. "That's not true," he said. "Human colonies follow all population agreements. We have never exceeded the limits set by this council." Torgak ignored him completely. "They also fight too well. During the Void War, human soldiers showed no fear of death. This makes them dangerous to galactic peace." More representatives began to speak. Each one presented reasons why humans posed a threat. The technological Javk claimed humans learned too fast. The peaceful Dralnari said human emotions were too strong and unpredictable. Even the ancient Kolthek expressed concern about human expansion. Jin felt cold fear growing in his chest. This was not a discussion. This was a trial, and humans were not allowed to defend themselves properly. Chancellor Vextar stood to speak. Jin felt relief wash over him. His friend would defend humanity. Vextar had seen human courage and sacrifice firsthand. "I have studied humans closely," Vextar began. "They saved my people when no one else would help. But I must speak honestly about what I observed." Jin's relief turned to ice. "Humans do not think like us," Vextar continued. "When they decide to fight, they commit completely. They will sacrifice anything to win. During our rescue, human soldiers threw themselves at void creatures with no thought for their own lives. This level of commitment is disturbing." The chamber fell silent. Jin could not believe what he was hearing. The Altarians owed their entire existence to human sacrifice. And now Vextar was using that sacrifice as evidence against humanity. Furthermore, Vextar said, "Humans hold grudges. They remember every wrong done to them. They remember every friend and every enemy. This makes them unpredictable allies and terrible enemies." High Judge Morden nodded slowly. "The evidence is clear. Humans are becoming too powerful and too unpredictable for galactic stability. We must act before they become a threat to all civilized species." Jin jumped to his feet. "You cannot be serious. Humans have never threatened anyone. We have only helped. We have shared our medicine, our technology, our lives to protect this galaxy." "Exactly," said Representative Kreeth of the Hive Collective. "You give too much, too freely. This suggests hidden motives. No species is naturally so generous unless they seek to control others." The accusations came faster now. Every good thing humans had done was twisted into evidence of danger. Their willingness to help became proof of manipulation. Their courage in battle became evidence of violent nature. Their fast learning became a sign of future domination. High Judge Mordoon raised all four arms for silence. We must vote on Resolution 2387A. All in favor of classifying humans as a managed species under galactic protection? Jin's blood turned to ice. A managed species meant slavery. It meant humans would be divided up among the galactic powers like property. Earth itself would be split into different zones controlled by different species. The votes came one by one. Each representative stood and spoke. Their decision clearly. The Altarian Federation votes in favor. Jin stared at Vex's Tar in complete shock. His friend would not meet his eyes. The Torgok Confederation votes in favor. The Javek Technocracy votes in favor. The Dralnari Collective votes in favor. One after another, 46 species voted to enslave humanity. Only the primitive Keth remained silent, their representative too stunned to speak. Jin activated his emergency communicator with shaking fingers. He had to warn Earth. He had to tell them what was happening. Captain Kim, he whispered into the device. Emergency Protocol 7. They voted. All of them. 46 species just voted to make humanity a managed species. Captain Sarah Kim's voice crackled through the communicator from her ship in orbit. Confirmed, Ambassador. All of them? All except the Keth abstained, Jin replied. Sarah, they're coming for us. They're coming for Earth. Security forces were already moving toward Jin's position. Large, armored aliens surrounded his seat as High Judge Mordoon continued speaking about implementation timelines and territory divisions. Tell Earth, Jin said quickly into his communicator before the guards reached him. Tell them we trusted the wrong people. Tell them the galaxy chose to betray us. Tell them to remember us when they make their choice. Strong hands grabbed Jin's arms and pulled him from his seat. The communicator fell to the floor and shattered. As he was dragged from the chamber, Jin could hear the representatives already arguing about which species would control which human worlds. The Altarians wanted Earth itself as payment for their past friendship. The Torgok demanded the military colonies. The Javek claimed rights to all human technology and research facilities. Jin's last sight of the chamber was High Judge Mordoon, dividing up humanity like pieces on a game board. 46 civilizations had just made the worst decision in galactic history, but they did not know it yet. They thought they were solving a problem. Instead, they had just created the most dangerous enemy the galaxy had ever seen. They were about to learn what humans truly became, when they had nothing left to lose. 3 months after the vote, the galaxy learned its first lesson about human nature. The lesson came written in alien blood across dozens of worlds. Colonel Park Min-ho crouched behind the ruins of what used to be Haven Colony's town hall. The Altarian occupation force had turned the building into their headquarters 3 weeks ago. They thought the thick walls would protect them. They were wrong. Charges are set, whispered Sergeant Liu through the radio. All exits covered. Park nodded and checked his watch. The Altarians followed strict schedules, just like their military training taught them. At exactly 1400 hours, they would gather for their daily briefing. It was a stupid habit that made them predictable. Humans had learned to use enemy predictability as a weapon. The explosion shook the ground for kilometers. When the smoke cleared, the headquarters was gone. So were 37 Altarian soldiers and 2 of their commanders. Park felt no satisfaction from the kill. He felt nothing at all anymore. Haven had been a peaceful farming world before the vote. Park had been a simple security chief who worried about crop thieves and small disputes between neighbors. The Altarians had arrived expecting grateful submission from a conquered people. Instead, they found colonists who knew every tunnel, every hidden path, every weakness in every building they had built with their own hands. That's Facility 17, reported Corporal Santos over the radio. Power grid is down across the northern sector. The Altarians had lost more soldiers in 3 months than they lost during the entire Void War. The occupying forces could not sleep safely, could not eat without fear of poison, could not walk the streets without wondering which building would explode next. Park remembered the day the aliens arrived. Their commander, a tall blue alien named Vex Call, had gathered all the colonists in the main square. He spoke about cooperation and peaceful integration. He promised good treatment for those who followed orders. The colonists had listened quietly. Then they went home and began planning how to kill every alien on their world. Meanwhile, on Earth itself, Dr. Elena Vasquez worked 18 hours a day in Laboratory Complex 7, hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility did not officially exist. Neither did Project Wrath, her life's work for the past 90 days. Elena's team had taken every gift the galaxy had given humanity over 30 years of friendship. Altarian medical technology, HFY computer systems, Torgok weapons design, Dralnari environmental suits. They had studied every weakness, every flaw, every way these technologies could be turned into weapons against their creators. The neural disruptor is ready for testing, reported Dr. Chen, her lead weapons engineer. It should work on any species with a centralized nervous system. Elena nodded without looking up from her workstation. She was designing something more specific. The Altarians had breathing organs that could not filter certain gas combinations. The HFY had computer implants that could be hacked with modified human software. Each species that voted for slavery would face weapons designed specifically to kill them. General Chang Wei entered the laboratory complex that evening. His face showed the weight of commanding Earth's desperate defense. The planetary shields were holding for now. But 46 alien fleets surrounded the solar system. They were waiting for the official transfer documents before beginning the final occupation. How much longer? Chang asked Elena. 2 more weeks for mass production, she replied. The factories are retooling as fast as possible. Chang nodded grimly. The colonies are buying us time with their blood. Haven is still free, but barely. New Sol fell yesterday, but not before the colonists destroyed everything useful to the occupiers. Elena finally looked up from her work. They wanted to own us, General. They're about to learn the difference between owning something and surviving something. In the outer rim of the galaxy, observer Zilneth of the Keth watched the reports with growing horror. The Keth had abstained from the vote not because they loved humans, but because they had studied human history very carefully. They knew what humans did to enemies, who pushed them too far. Zilneth sent an encrypted message to Earth through channels that officially did not exist. The message was simple. The galaxy does not understand what it has awakened. We studied your wars against each other. We know what you become when you have no choice but to fight. Prepare well. The other species will not show mercy because they do not believe they need to fear you. The message included detailed intelligence about fleet positions, supply lines, and command structures. The Keth wanted no part of the coming storm. On Haven, Colonel Park received new orders from Earth. The planetary government was no longer asking the colonists to simply resist. They were asking them to send a message that would reach every species in the galaxy. Understood, Park replied over the quantum transmitter. Message will be delivered. The next morning, the Altarian occupation force woke to find their supply depot surrounded by human colonists. The aliens outnumbered the humans 3-1 and had better weapons. They demanded surrender. The humans refused. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, every single Altarian on Haven was dead. The colonists had lost half their number, but they had proven something important. Humans could be killed, but they could not be conquered. Park stood among the alien bodies and activated the planetary broadcast system. His message would be transmitted to every world in the galaxy where humans lived under alien control. This is Colonel Park Min-ho of Haven Colony. he said into the transmitter. "Today we killed every alien on our world. Tomorrow we will help you kill every alien on yours. They voted to make us slaves. We vote to make them extinct." Similar messages began broadcasting from human colonies across the galaxy. Not all the colonies were winning their fights, but all of them were fighting. Colonists who had been farmers, teachers, and shopkeepers had become guerrilla fighters who made the alien occupiers pay in blood for every kilometer they controlled. Dr. Elena Vasquez worked through the night in her hidden laboratory. The first batch of weapons would be ready soon. Earth's hidden fleets were moving into position. The galaxy had made its choice 3 months ago. Now humanity would make theirs. In his underground bunker, General Chang Wei signed the order that would change galactic history. Earth was activating every sleeper agent, every hidden weapons cache, every secret facility they had built during 30 years of preparing for the worst. The aliens thought they had caught humanity by surprise. They thought humans were peaceful explorers who would submit to superior force. They were about to discover that humans had been preparing for this war since the day they first met aliens. The galaxy had shown humanity its true nature. Soon, humanity would return the favor. Admiral Lisa Chen stood on the bridge of the warship Retribution, watching the stars shift as her fleet emerged from dark matter streams. For 30 years, these ships had waited in the cold, empty spaces between galaxies. Today, they came home to a galaxy that had betrayed their species. The Shadow Fleet consisted of 57 vessels that officially did not exist. Earth had built them in secret shipyards beyond Pluto, crewed them with soldiers who were declared dead in training accidents, and sent them into the deep dark to wait. The galaxy knew about Earth's exploration ships and defense fleets. They did not know about the weapons that humanity kept hidden for the worst possible day. Today was that day. "Admiral," reported Captain Torres from the navigation station. "All ships are clear of the streams. The fleet is ready for combat operations." Lisa nodded slowly. She had been preparing for this moment since she graduated from the academy 25 years ago. Like every officer in the Shadow Fleet, she had volunteered to become humanity's final answer to galactic threats. She had given up her name, her identity, and her life to become something the galaxy had never seen before. A human who existed only to make enemies extinct. "Signal the fleet," Lisa ordered. "Operation Homecoming begins now. All ships to their assigned targets. No prisoners, no survivors, no mercy." The Shadow Fleet split apart, each ship heading toward different systems where humans suffered under alien occupation. These were not rescue missions. They were extermination operations designed to teach the galaxy a simple truth. Enslaving humanity carried a price that no species could afford to pay. Captain Yuki Tanaka commanded the destroyer Vengeance as it approached the Altarian mining facility on Kepler 442b. 3,000 human prisoners worked in the deep mines, extracting rare metals for their alien masters. The facility was heavily defended with orbital platforms and fighter squadrons. None of that would matter. Yuki had spent 15 years studying Altarian military doctrine. She knew their tactics, their weaknesses, their every defensive strategy. More importantly, she knew that Altarians followed rules even during combat. They tried to minimize casualties and protect civilian targets. Humans no longer followed those rules. The Vengeance appeared on Altarian sensors like a ghost materializing from empty space. Before the aliens could react, Yuki's ship launched a spread of quantum torpedoes that turned the orbital platforms into expanding clouds of superheated gas. The fighter squadrons scrambled to respond, but they flew right into weapons designed specifically to exploit Altarian reaction times. Within 20 minutes, every alien defender was dead. The mining facility surrendered immediately when Yuki's boarding teams teleported directly into the command center. But Yuki was not accepting surrenders today. Her soldiers moved through the facility with mechanical precision. Every alien administrator, every guard, every engineer who had participated in human enslavement died exactly the same way. Quick, efficient, and final. The human prisoners watched in stunned silence as their rescuers worked. These were not the friendly exploration crews they remembered from before the vote. These humans moved like machines built for killing, showing no emotion as they eliminated every trace of alien presence on the world. "Facility cleared," reported Sergeant Kim over the radio. "All enemies eliminated. No human casualties. Num. Num. No. Num. No. No human casualties." Yuki nodded and activated the planetary broadcast system. Her message would reach every world in the local sector, ensuring that other species understood what was happening. "This is Captain Tanaka of the Earth Shadow Fleet," she announced. "The humans on this world are now free. The aliens who enslaved them are now dead. This is the price for voting to enslave humanity. Pay attention, Galaxy. We are coming for all of you." Similar operations were happening across dozens of systems. Earth's hidden fleets struck with perfect coordination, hitting targets that alien intelligence had never detected. The shadow ships fought like nothing the galaxy had ever encountered. They did not try to capture territory or achieve political goals. They existed only to kill the enemies of humanity and free their enslaved people. On the Altarian homeworld, Chancellor Vextar watched the reports with growing terror. In 6 hours, human forces had destroyed 17 military installations and freed 8 mining colonies. Altarian casualties were approaching 50,000, while human losses remained exactly 0. How is this possible? Vextar demanded of his military advisors. Our intelligence showed that Earth had perhaps 200 combat ships. Where did these fleets come from? General Morketh, his top military commander, stared at the tactical displays with haunted eyes. "Sir, these are not ships we recognize. They use no known human technology. They fight with tactics we have never encountered. It is as if Earth has been preparing for this specific war for decades." Vextar remembered his vote in the Galactic Council 3 months ago. He had betrayed the species that saved his people because he feared human unpredictability. Now he was learning exactly how unpredictable humans could become when they had nothing left to lose. "Open a channel to Earth," Vextar ordered. "I need to speak with their leadership immediately." "Sir," replied his communications officer. "Earth is not responding to any diplomatic channels. They have shut down all embassy communications and withdrawn from all treaties. As far as our systems can determine, humanity no longer recognizes any galactic authority." Commander Alex Rivera led the liberation of New Sol colony from orbit aboard the cruiser Independence. The HFY had turned the colony into a technology research facility, using human scientists as forced labor to advance alien computer systems. Alex had been born on New Sol before the vote. His parents still lived there when the occupation began. The HFY had executed them for refusing to work on military projects. Alex was here to collect payment for that debt. The HFY were a technological species that relied heavily on automated defenses and computer-controlled weapons. They thought their advanced systems would protect them from primitive human tactics. They never expected humans to use their own technology against them. Alex's ship transmitted a modified computer virus directly into the HFY defense network. The virus was based on HFY programming languages, but written with human creativity and malice. It turned every automated defense system against its operators. The colony's shield generators exploded simultaneously. HFY fighter craft fired on their own command ships. Automated defense turrets targeted alien positions while ignoring human movements. Within 30 minutes, the technological masters of the galaxy watched their own machines hunt them through the streets of New Sol. Alex led the ground assault personally. He found the HFY research director hiding in a bunker deep beneath the main laboratory complex. The alien begged for mercy, promising to release all human prisoners and share advanced technology. "You had a choice," Alex said calmly. "You could have abstained like the Keth. You could have voted against enslavement. Instead, you chose to vote for human slavery because you thought we were weak." The research director died learning the difference between human weakness and human patience. Across the galaxy, 46 species began to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not responding to occupation like any conquered species in galactic history. Instead, they had become something that existed only to make their enemies extinct. Admiral Lisa Chen received status reports from 17 different operations. Every mission was succeeding beyond expectation. Every human prisoner was being freed. Every alien occupier was being eliminated. But this was only the beginning. The Shadow Fleet had spent 30 years preparing for a war that would not end until the galaxy learned to fear the very concept of threatening humanity. The species that voted for slavery were about to discover what humans became when they stopped trying to be civilized. 1 year after the liberation began, the galaxy burned with the light of dying civilizations. President Kim Jae-won stood in the war room beneath Seoul, watching displays that showed the systematic destruction of species that had voted to enslave humanity. Kim had been Earth's chief diplomat before the vote. He had spent 15 years building friendships with alien species, negotiating treaties, and working toward galactic peace. The aliens had thought his gentle nature made him weak. They had learned the difference between diplomatic courtesy and human mercy. Status report, Kim ordered his military council. General Chang Wei stepped forward with a data tablet. His face showed no emotion as he read the casualty figures. The Altarian Federation is extinct, sir. Their homeworld is now uninhabitable. The Torgok Confederation has been reduced to 3 refugee fleets hiding in the galactic rim. The Javek technocracy lost their last stronghold yesterday. Kim nodded slowly. Each name on the list represented a civilization that had lasted thousands of years. Each name also represented a species that had voted to make humanity slaves. He felt no guilt about their destruction. The Dralnari? Kim asked. Eliminated completely, Chang replied. Commander Park found their hidden colonies and sterilized them. No survivors. The peaceful Dralnari had been the first to suggest that human emotions were too dangerous for galactic society. They had voted for enslavement because they thought humans were too violent to exist freely. Their final broadcasts had begged for mercy, promising to serve humanity forever if their species was allowed to survive. Kim had listened to their pleas personally before denying them. Species that voted for human slavery had forfeited their right to exist. On the former Altarian homeworld, now called Judgment, High Judge Mordoon broadcast from a deep bunker that humanity allowed to exist for one purpose. The old alien's voice carried across every surviving world in the galaxy, spreading the desperate message that had replaced galactic government. Please, Mordoon begged through the transmitter. Earth must listen to reason. The Galactic Council offers complete surrender. We will give you anything. Territory, resources, technology, even other species as slaves, if that is what you desire. Please stop the killing. 1. Earth's response came 12 hours later. President Kim's calm voice replaced Mordoon's panicked pleading on every galactic frequency. High Judge Mordoon, Kim said with diplomatic politeness. You speak of reason, but you do not understand what that word means. Reason would have been abstaining from the vote like the Keth. Reason would have been recognizing that enslaving the species that saved your lives was morally wrong. You chose unreason. You chose to vote for human slavery because you thought we were weak enough to accept it. Kim's voice never changed tone, but his words carried the weight of absolute judgment. 46 species voted to enslave humanity. 46 species chose extinction. This is not negotiable. This is not changeable. This is simple cause and effect. The transmission ended, leaving Mordoon alone with the knowledge that his decision in the council chambers had doomed nearly every advanced civilization in the galaxy. Across the ruins of galactic civilization, Keth observer Zil Neth documented the destruction for future generations. The Keth had abstained from the vote and provided intelligence to help humanity during the war. They were the only species that humans treated as potential allies, rather than targets for elimination. Zilneth's reports painted a picture of warfare unlike anything in galactic history. Humans did not fight for territory or resources. They fought for the complete eradication of enemies who had threatened their freedom. Every battle ended the same way: total human victory and total enemy extinction. The Kolthek, an ancient species that claimed to be older than most stars, sent ambassadors to negotiate with Earth. They offered to share the secret location of their homeworld and provide tribute for 10,000 years. Commander Song He-jin met the ambassadors on the neutral world of Nexus Prime, now controlled by human forces. The same chamber where the enslavement vote had taken place became the site where the Kolthek learned their fate. "We offer peace," the lead ambassador said through its translation device. "Our species has existed for millions of years. Surely that has value worth preserving." Song He-jin had been a kindergarten teacher before the vote. She had spent her days helping children learn to read and solve simple problems. The war had transformed her into something that killed ancient civilizations as easily as she once graded homework. "Your species voted to enslave mine," she replied calmly. "Your millions of years of existence mean nothing compared to that simple fact. You chose to support human slavery. We choose to ensure you never make another choice." The Kolthek ambassadors died in the same chamber where their representatives had voted for human enslavement. Song ordered their homeworld's location extracted from their ship's computers and transmitted the coordinates to Admiral Chen's extinction fleet. The ancient Kolthek civilization ended 3 days later, when human weapons turned their home star into a supernova that could be seen from 1,000 light-years away. Dr. Elena Vasquez, now Earth's Minister of Galactic Affairs, received surrender offers from the last surviving fragments of the enslaving species. Refugee fleets, hiding in dark matter streams, sent desperate messages promising anything in exchange for survival. Elena had spent her career before the war developing medical treatments to help injured aliens. She had saved thousands of lives belonging to species that later voted to enslave her own people. The betrayal had taught her that alien lives were worth exactly as much as the aliens valued human freedom. "Surrender offers are rejected," she replied to each message. "Extinction will proceed as planned." The Javek had built refugee ships with cloaking technology that made them nearly invisible to normal sensors. They thought they could hide in the space between galaxies until humanity forgot about them. They did not understand human memory. Elena's hunter fleets found every hidden ship using technology reverse-engineered from the gifts that aliens had shared with humanity during 30 years of false friendship. Each refugee vessel was destroyed with weapons specifically designed to exploit the biological weaknesses of its crew. The former galactic powers had given humanity everything needed to destroy them completely. In his underground command center, President Kim signed the final authorization for Operation Silence. The last 7 species that had voted for enslavement were hiding in a secret facility built inside a hollow asteroid. They had been there for 6 months, hoping humanity would eventually stop hunting them. They were wrong. Captain David Park, son of the hero of Haven Colony, led the assault team that breached the asteroid facility. His father had died holding the line against Alterian forces during the early resistance. David had volunteered to deliver the final judgment personally. The hidden facility contained the last representatives of civilizations that had once ruled thousands of worlds. Scientists, artists, leaders, and civilians who had survived the extinction of their homeworlds now faced the son of a human hero they had voted to enslave. "Please," begged the surviving Alterian chancellor. "We were wrong. We admit that we were wrong. Surely that means something." David looked at the alien who had cast the first vote for human slavery. His father had died fighting soldiers sent by this creature's government. Millions of humans had suffered because of decisions made in comfortable council chambers by beings who thought themselves superior to humanity. "It means you learned something before you died," David replied. "That is more than your species deserved." The asteroid facility became humanity's final monument to the species that had chosen to enslave them. When the explosions ended, 46 civilizations had been completely erased from the galaxy. Only scattered refugees remained, hiding in the deepest parts of space and hoping that humanity might someday show mercy to enemies who had shown none. They would wait forever. Humans had learned that mercy toward those who threatened human freedom was the same as betrayal of their own species. The galaxy belonged to humanity now, bought with the blood of every species arrogant enough to vote for human slavery. 3 years after the vote that changed everything, Dr. Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime Station, looking out at a galaxy that belonged to humanity. The great chamber where 46 species had voted for human enslavement was now her office. The same seat where she had watched alien representatives betray her species now served as the center of human galactic administration. The galaxy was quiet in a way that still surprised her. No alien transmissions cluttered the communication networks. No trade ships moved between distant worlds. No diplomatic messages traveled the quantum channels that once connected thousands of civilizations. Elena was now Earth's Minister of Galactic Affairs. But there were no other galactic affairs to manage. Humanity had systematically eliminated every species that voted for enslavement. The great civilizations that once spanned the galaxy existed only in historical databases and warning monuments. A soft chime indicated an incoming transmission. Elena activated the communication system to see Keth Elder Talvorn's familiar features appear on the screen. The Keth were the only major species that still existed as an organized civilization. Their abstention from the enslavement vote had saved them from humanity's wrath. "Minister Vasquez," Talvorn said, with careful politeness, "I come with a formal proposal from the Survivor Coalition." Elena nodded for him to continue. The Survivor Coalition consisted of the handful of species that had either remained neutral during the vote or actively helped humanity during the war. They numbered less than 20 species total, most of them small and primitive compared to the extinct galactic powers. "The Coalition wishes to establish a formal treaty with humanity," Talvorn explained. "We propose a new galactic order with Earth as the supreme authority. We offer tribute, territorial concessions, and absolute loyalty in exchange for the right to exist under human protection." Elena listened without emotion. The proposal made sense from the survivors' perspective. They had watched 46 advanced civilizations get erased from existence for threatening human freedom. Now they wanted to ensure they never made the same mistake. "What exactly are you offering?" Elena asked. Talvorn's response came with the desperation of species that had seen what happened to humanity's enemies. "Everything. Complete territorial surrender. All technology and resources. Our young will learn human languages as primary tongues. Our governments will serve as administrative regions under Earth's authority. We seek only the right to exist as servants rather than face extinction as enemies." Elena considered the offer for several minutes. Humanity had never wanted to rule the galaxy. Before the vote, humans had been content as equals in a community of species. But the galaxy had shown its true nature when it chose to enslave rather than coexist with humanity. "The offer is acceptable," Elena finally replied. "But understand the terms clearly. This is not a treaty between equals. This is a formal recognition that humanity is the only species in this galaxy qualified to determine who lives and who dies. Any challenge to human authority, any threat to human freedom, any action that suggests you consider yourselves equal to humanity will result in immediate extinction." "ESCOM." Talvorn nodded quickly. "Understood completely, Minister. We seek only survival under human guidance." After the transmission ended, Elena walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime Station. The massive facility had been built by the extinct Galactic Council to house representatives from hundreds of species. Now it served as a monument to the consequences of threatening humanity. She paused at Memorial Hall, where the names of every human who died during the enslavement period were carved into walls made from the hulls of destroyed alien warships. The memorial was simple: 2,847,312 names written in basic text with no decoration or ceremony. Below the names was a single sentence in 46 languages, including the extinct languages of the species that had voted for enslavement. They died because aliens chose slavery over freedom. Remember both the dead and the choice. On the liberated world of Haven, former slave Mira Santos worked in the garden where the old colonial administration building used to stand. The Altarians had destroyed the human building to make room for their occupation headquarters. After liberation, the humans had destroyed the alien headquarters to make room for something peaceful. Mira planted flowers now instead of hiding from alien patrols. Her children played in yards instead of hiding in tunnels. The world was quiet and safe in a way that still felt strange after years of resistance and war. A small memorial stood in the center of the garden. It honored Colonel Park Min-ho and the other resistance fighters who had died holding Haven until Earth's fleets arrived. The inscription was simple. They chose freedom over safety. Honor that choice. Mira's daughter ran up with a handful of wildflowers she had picked from the memorial garden. Mom, why are there no aliens on our world anymore? Mira knelt down to her daughter's level and spoke carefully. This was a conversation that every human parent had with their children now. Because they tried to make us slaves, honey. So we made sure they could never try again. All of them? Her daughter asked with the curiosity of a child who had never seen a living alien. All of them that voted to hurt us. Mira replied. The ones who stayed our friends are still alive. The ones who tried to make us slaves are gone forever. Her daughter nodded with the simple acceptance of childhood and ran back to play with flowers that grew in soil mixed with the ashes of alien conquerors. Captain David Park commanded a patrol ship in the Outer Rim, hunting for signs of refugee populations that might try to rebuild. His ship, the Remembrance, carried sensors designed to detect even small alien settlements hiding in asteroid fields or dark matter clouds. The work was methodical and thorough. Every few months, the sensors would find a hidden outpost or refugee ship trying to establish a new colony. David's crew would investigate, confirm the species' identity, and execute appropriate measures. Species that had voted for enslavement were eliminated immediately. Neutral species were relocated to designated preservation zones. Allied species were escorted to safety under human protection. David carried his father's final message, recorded during the Siege of Haven. Freedom is not negotiable. The price for threatening it is complete elimination. Remember this truth and ensure that the galaxy never forgets it. The galaxy would never forget. Humanity made sure of that. In her office on Nexus Prime, Elena reviewed the daily reports from Earth's new galactic administration. Food production was up on liberated worlds. Human colonies were expanding into territories left empty by extinct species. Birth rates were climbing as humanity filled the vacuum left by their former enemies. The reports also included cultural items. Human artists were creating monuments to commemorate the war. Human scientists were studying alien technology to ensure no future threats could emerge. Human teachers were developing educational programs to ensure that future generations understood why the war had been necessary. Most importantly, human military forces continued their eternal patrol of galactic space, ensuring that any new species encountered would understand the simple truth that governed the galaxy now. Humanity was free, and anything that threatened that freedom would cease to exist. Elena activated the galactic communication system and broadcast the daily message that every surviving species received as a reminder of their place in the new order. This is Earth Central Authority, she announced. Today marks 3 years, 4 months, and 16 days since 46 species voted to enslave humanity. Those species are extinct. The galaxy belongs to humanity now, not through conquest, but through the absolute certainty that any challenge to human freedom results in complete extinction. Remember this truth. Honor this truth. Live by this truth. The transmission ended, leaving the galaxy to continue its quiet existence under human authority. Elena returned to her work of managing a universe where humanity's freedom was no longer negotiable because there was no one left alive who dared to threaten it. The galaxy had learned what humans became when they were pushed beyond all limits. Now it lived with the consequences of that education forever.